What's up guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over some new details about the PlayStation 5, as well as the official logo shown off for it, and some new details about the Xbox Series X. So first off, let's start out with the PlayStation 5. So yesterday was the first night of CES, and at Sony's press conference in CES in Las Vegas, the company revealed a couple things about the PlayStation 5. They didn't really talk about it too much. They talked about PlayStation in general and how many sales like the PS4 had, but they did show off the logo for the PlayStation 5. So this is what the logo looks like. I mean, it's nothing too exciting. This is just about what everybody knew the PlayStation 5 logo was going to be. It's just going to be kind of an updated version of the PS4 logo, but PS5, that's what the logo looks like. They revealed it, and yeah, I mean, there's not like anything we can get out of this, but it is kind of cool to see the logo. I mean, it is something we didn't have up until this point. We didn't have an official one, but now we do. But people are kind of clowning on this, making fun of it a little bit, being like, hey, this is their announcement. I mean, Microsoft announced a full console and showed off a trailer for it. PlayStation and Sony just revealed a logo, so I don't know, whatever. But they also discussed some of the PlayStation 5's hardware features. So they didn't give like specifics, as in like numbers. They just said that it has 3D audio sound, which is likely to be ray traced audio. They also say they have haptics and adaptive triggers, so just like an updated controller design. They also say they have ultra high speed SSD. What's kind of interesting here is that they show a picture of like a SATA SSD, whereas it's been rumored that the Xbox Series X is going to have an NVMe M.2 SSD inside. So there are possibly some differences there, that the Xbox Series X, the SSD in it might be faster because it's M.2, whereas this one, I mean, it's just an image. I mean, for all we know, it could, be an M.2 SSD as well, but the image here shows a SATA SSD, which is a little bit slower than an M.2 one, but I don't know, that's just my guess, my opinion on this. They also say that they will have hardware-based ray tracing. So this is good to know. We already knew that the Xbox Series X was going to have hardware-based ray tracing. But the other thing interesting to know about this too is that will it be hardware-based ray tracing for games and like visuals, or is it like hardware-based ray tracing for sound? Because that was something that was discussed previously with the PlayStation 5 reveal. And then lastly, this is something new that we didn't know until now, is that it says it has an Ultra HD Blu-ray. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's a nice thing to have, because up until this point we have not had a single PlayStation console that has had an Ultra HD Blu-ray player. The Xbox One X back in 2016 came out with an Ultra HD Blu-ray player inside it, which is also interesting because Blu-ray is owned by Sony, but no Sony console has had a Ultra HD Blu-ray player. Of course, the Xbox One S has one, Xbox One X, and even the Xbox Series X is going to have one too. So it'll be nice to finally get one for the PlayStation 5. Plus, this will mean, potentially like different discs for the console to give more data. But also, you're going to be able to play 4K movies on your PlayStation 5. So pretty cool stuff there. There's information we have about the PlayStation 5. I do have another video on the channel that came out a little while ago talking about all the leaked specs behind the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. So if you guys haven't checked that out, you guys should definitely go and do so. It's really interesting. Basically, the gist of it is that the Xbox Series X is going to be more powerful and like by a significant margin, but who knows? The Xbox Series X is probably also going to cost more. So make sure you guys check out that video so that you guys stay up to date about that. But now, and lastly for this video, let's talk about the Xbox Series X. So we have two things here. The first one is the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, updated his Twitter profile picture to the picture of the actual APU powering the Xbox Series X. And this is what it looks like. I mean, it looks pretty similar to the Xbox One X APU, the processor behind it. But what's also kind of interesting here, I mean, it's cool. It says Project Scarlet in there. On the left, it says 8K and it has the Xbox logo. There is a QR code, but when people have actually scanned it, it just brings up, the letters like M11, whatever, those numbers to the left of it. That's all it does is bring up those numbers. But it's kind of interesting, though, that it says 8K on here, because if you guys remember back to the Xbox One X, this is what it looked like for the Xbox One X, and in the bottom corner, it says 4K. So kind of interesting. It seems that with the Xbox One X, they're targeting 4K for a lot of games and for the whole system, kind of like the power behind the system. But it's interesting that on the processor of this next generation system, they have 8K. I mean, it's fitting too, because, I mean, what else would you put? Would you put 4K again on there? I mean, you can honestly not put anything. I mean, that's what you have on like PCs and pretty much any other piece of hardware. They don't like put a resolution on there. But I don't know, it's kind of interesting. And then of course it also says Project Scarlet. But this is what the actual like APU die is going to look like. And people have actually done a lot of research into this and like done a lot of math and basically have come out with the theory that this is going to be the biggest processor in like a console ever, which is also going to be good because it's going to be 7 nanometers. So there's going to be a lot more power packed into this thing than we've ever had in a console processor before, which should be really great for games, but also might not bode so well for cooling. But we also got that like actual like little video showing off the design of the console, which should allow for a lot better cooling with this system. And I think that's one thing that's going to be changing with this generation, is they're going to focus a little bit more on cooling compared to the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. I mean, the PlayStation 4, if you try and turn on like any modern game, man, it sounds like that thing is about to take off and is about to jump up to 30,000 feet. Like, this thing needs to be like bolted into the ground because it sounds like a jet engine. But hopefully that changes with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, especially with these much more powerful components in this system. But the other thing about the Xbox Series X, this came out from CES as well, and this is the AMD's press conference. They actually kind of showed off like, you know, what they're going to be doing for this year in 2020, and at part of it, they actually showed a little video of the Xbox Series X, and they showed a 360-degree look at it. And on the back, it actually showed off the ports. So, I mean, we already knew what the front of it looked like, and we already knew it was going to be like this rectangular box. But on the back, it shows the ports. So, ports aren't really anything that interesting other than the very end ones. So, we have, of course, just the power. So, it's like the same power adapter you have on the Xbox One S, Xbox One X. Then we also have HDMI out, HDMI in, which is kind of cool. I do like that we still have that feature. You know, that was first introduced at the Xbox One back in 2013, but now we also have an HDMI in. Okay, that's cool. But what's really interesting about this is that they have USB-C, and of course they have the optical audio and then Ethernet. But the only like new thing here, I mean, it has the exact same I/O except for the fact that these are USB-C rather than USB Type A. Now, Microsoft did come out with a statement, and they said the Xbox Series X imagery used during the AMD CES press conference was not sourced from Microsoft and does not accurately represent the design or features of the upcoming console. They were taken from turbosquid.com. So this isn't accurate, but I do think it brings up an interesting question, though, about the I/O. I mean, it's pretty likely about what the I/O on this console is going to be. I don't think there's going to be anything insane about the I/O, but I do think that the USB-C is interesting because, I mean, the Xbox Elite controller Series 2 uses USB-C, and the new Xbox Series X controllers are most likely also going to be using USB-C, so it makes sense for them to have USB-C ports on the console. That way you can plug in from your controller USB-C into the console USB-C. But the other thing that I think would be kind of weird about it not having any USB Type A's is, what about like external hard drives? You would have to get like an adapter to go from like an external hard drive. It usually goes to USB Type A, and then you have to get an adapter to take that to USB Type C. Like, I don't think there's very many like external hard drives that do straight to USB Type C. But I was talking with a friend about this, and I brought up an interesting point that, wait, will they even allow you to have external hard drives with a system like this? Like, maybe having only USB-C is a way to kind of deter people from using their external hard drives on this console, because the Xbox Series X is going to have an SSD built in, and it's most likely going to be like an M.2 PCIe SSD, so it's going to be really fast. But then if you allow people to plug in an external hard drive, like, yeah, that's great for the consumer because they can download more games, but it's also could be bad for the consumer because what's the point of having a super fast SSD built into the console if you're still going to allow people to play games off of slow mechanical external hard drives? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Plus, some games might be built around using an SSD for better loading, faster loading, and even Microsoft coins it, you know, like virtual RAM. But if you're allowing people to play off of mechanical hard drives still, that kind of defeats the purpose. So I'm not sure. What do you guys think about this? Do you guys think that Microsoft will still allow you to use external hard drives with the Xbox Series X? or will they require an SSD? They might require you to, you could probably get an external SSD for this console, but I wouldn't be surprised if they made it exclusive for this. So you had to have an SSD above like a certain speed. So you couldn't use a mechanical hard drive at all with this console. I don't know, it's kind of an interesting topic. Guess we'll find out closer to launch, if not at launch of this console. But yeah, that's what we know so far. This design is fake, but it does bring up some interesting questions. And then Xbox's head, Phil Spencer, also showed off that picture of the Xbox Series X's CPU. And then we also have the PlayStation 5 logo revealed, plus a couple details about the PlayStation 5's hardware features as well. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.